So if I'd like to say, we've got Paul Ambrose from Rochdale here today, and Russell Greenslade from Swansea, and we've also got Jason Maxwell from Stockton, all from various different parts of the country, obviously. And I'd just like to go around really first of all and give you all 5 minutes to give us a little bit of an update on where you are, what you're doing, what your thoughts are, what your concerns are, and then we'll have a discussion after that and just see if we could tease out any of those issues. So can I start off with you then, Paul, about Rochdale?
Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Rochdale, where are we up to? I mean, obviously, like everybody else, we've gone through the crisis period, moving to the recovery stage. We are thankfully got a really good relationship with the council. I was on the phone to them this morning for 2 hours talking about the recovery, what we can do, what we can't do. Obviously, we've been granted, like most towns, what's it called? The Opening Safety Fund, something like that, isn't it, from the government, which is clearly as the bid. I want to get all my hands on that money and influence the council where we can. But the message that we've been pushing with the council is that clearly we've got to make the town safe for people, and we can do that in all sorts of ways. We've ordered 200 vinyl floor stickers, we're getting posters ready and all that kind of thing to reinforce the 2-metre message. But we want people to have the confidence to come back. I mean, I think people's shopping habits have changed, understandably, and whether or not we can change those habits going forward. I think we've seen, obviously, Amazon and the likes have been doing very well, but I think the data from out-of-town retail parks is relatively positive. Footfall up and out of town's been quite good. So you want to break the habits and bring people back into town, and I think that's a challenge for everybody, really. You know, we're going to see this slow opening over the next few weeks. How we manage queues, how we manage people's expectations is going to be a challenge, but we sort of feel we're in a good position. Like I say, we've kind of got our recovery framework, recovery team. And we are looking at closing streets. We are looking at, having keep left signs on the high street, making streets one way. So yeah, it's been okay. I've been on my own. The other staff's been furloughed, so I've been working from home, which has been fine. I think I don't think businesses can criticise Rochdale bid in terms of not presenting them with information. We've bombarded them with information about the support that's available to them, and that obviously we've had recently the guidelines on how to work safely in a retail environment. We're going to have to hold a few businesses' hands in terms of coming up with a COVID risk assessment for their business. I think this will be new to a lot of businesses, but we're currently working on a template that we will be able to give to businesses and show them some examples. Obviously, each business will be different, but there'll be a lot of support needed for businesses over the next few weeks as they gear up to open on the 15th. So, yeah, big picture, I think we're all right. It'd be interesting to see what footfall's like in the centre on the 15th. Incidentally, just before the lockdown, Rochdale was about to open its new retail and leisure centre, which is anchored by Marks and Spencer's. It looks good, but only Marks and Spencer's food hall managed to open during the lockdown. So as much as there's a lot to worry about, I think there's a lot to look forward to. I think this is a strange way, an opportunity for town centres to look very carefully and seriously at how they repurpose going forward. And I think that's part of our framework, to look at the transformation of towns sort of beyond COVID and how we look to adapt and change. Certainly in Rochdale's case, we've got a relatively growing food and drink offer, and we want to sort of push that as much as we can. We know what's happening to retail. I won't go over that. But yeah, overall, I think great. One last thing, I won't swear, but thank for base camp.
Oh wow, yeah.
I'd have been lost without it. And credit to OJ and the team and all the contributors to it. It's an absolute fantastic resource to have on a daily basis, and I've used loads of information in there. dare I say, stole a bit of information as well from other big towns.
Is that all, Paul? Because I've stolen loads.
Hey, that's what we're putting it up there for. We actually even had the idea ages ago as well that this wasn't just a member resource. Like, this camp's always been something we're very protective with our membership. And we've kind of said this is where our members actually will find information. This is where they'll network. This is where they'll go where they want to answer some questions. And what we did earlier on is we said, you know something, we are all in this together. And if you're not a member of the ATCM, you still need, you're out on your own, you need help. So we threw that tile open to everybody. So we've got people on there that are non-members, and hopefully we'll convert them into being members. But if we don't and the time's not right for them, they still need the help and support from everybody else out there. And I would never turn anybody away. But I think that's really important as well, because we can learn from those people also. I do have a question for you though as well there, Paul. Rochdale is obviously quite an old town, right? So a lot of your infrastructure, pavements, things like that are actually probably quite narrow compared to a lot of places that are totally pedestrianised. How are you finding that as a challenge?
To be honest, there's loads of wide open spaces in the town centre. We've benefited over the last few years that the council and ourselves have pedestrianised a lot of the town centre.
Yeah.
There is a couple of particular roads which we'll use this opportunity to close, and that space will be given over to the food and drink businesses that face them. And we're looking at parklets. I think parklets are going to be extremely popular going forward. I think lots of towns will seize them, and so yeah, no, we're fortunate. There's loads of wide open spaces in the town. We've got a huge square in the middle of the town, so I don't think it's a particular. We have got some hot spots where there's some pinch points and how you're going to get people through that sort of narrow street, and that's why we'll make it one way. So we're fortunate. We've got the space, and it's not a particular worry of mine.
If you had to say one word, what is your biggest fear at the moment with it opening the town centre? Is it about safety, or is it the confidence, or the offer, or what is it that's...
People don't come back.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. People don't come back. They've changed their habits. It will not be, as it was 6 months ago, say. I mean, footfall will not quickly return. It will take time. But it's an opportunity. We need to change. We need to give people the reasons to come back, and whether or not that's through additional events, improved marketing and placemaking. You've just got to be relentless in your campaigns and your events and your strategy to sort of drag people back in. I mean, in Rochdale, we're part of Greater Manchester. There's lots of nearby towns which people can get to in 20 minutes, half an hour. We are competing with them, so we've just got to make sure our offer, is better, if I say it like that. And I'm fairly confident with what we've done over the last few years with the new shopping stroke leisure centre. We've got a fighting chance to come back strong. Yeah,
brilliant. Thank you. Thanks. Russell, can I go over to you and give us a bit of an update on where we are with Swansea?
Yeah, no problem. Well, obviously, be having our own government, we're roughly 2-3 weeks behind England at the present moment in time. So we're expecting some announcements this Friday from our First Minister. What and when, we're not too sure, but usually what happens is that we follow sync, but we just have to put it into our own context. We, as a bid, have been operating as per normal the best we can. As Paul said, I don't think our levy payers will be able to say they haven't been able to get a hold of us, didn't know where we were, we didn't get any communications from us. We've scaled up our communications because that's what businesses wanted from us. They wanted to know where they get the grant information, how quickly they'll get it. And there's a lot of people phoning up who are quite scared, as in, what do I do? They're like rabbits in the headlights. So we very much hold our hand and went through all that. We're now in the recovery stage, as Paul mentioned, very similar to what you were saying, Paul, what we're in. Where we've already done our risk assessments, free templates have gone to businesses. We've offered free legal services, free training, free this, that, and the other. We're putting together a pre-opening pack So they're going to get sanitizer as a gesture. They're going to get hazard tape. They're going to get shields. And also we've set up our own procurement element as well, using the buying power of the bid. And also we've joined forces with other Welsh bids in order that we can flex our muscles, which is a good couple of £1 million behind it, to say, look, you know, give us a discount and we'll direct businesses your way after we've bought the first initial good gesture of a sanitizer and stuff like that. So it's the link sell. So we're I said we're more or less ready to go with that once our First Minister announced when we can go and see businesses and when they can open it. Some businesses decided they're not going to reopen. So independent travel agent, for instance, today just let us know I'm not reopening. He shut his business and paid his staff off, and he's going to go and do something else. So businesses are taking those decisions now. They've had their grants and everything like that in order they could pay through whatever they owed. I think from us as a city, very lucky, we've got a good couple of billion going on in the bid area of regeneration. And it's big, large scale stuff like big public sector hubs, DVLA, BBC, all coming in and building office blocks, a new arena, shopping centres, etc. That's continued, which is great. So people can see that steel infrastructure going up and tower blocks, which has given that beacon of hope I think everybody wanted. In Swansea, obviously, we've been battered a bit because we're in a big tourist area. So I think that's going to take a kick in, like everybody else. I agree with what Paul said. I think it's going to be hard to get people back. And I think from research we've done, it's giving people the confidence to come back and making sure that the businesses are doing all they can to give them that confidence. And marketing and comms is going to be a big part of that. It really is. And I think bids are changing. I think they're becoming a bit more, you know, we've been going since 2006. So, you know, we're a third term bid. We're balloting again next year in 2021, summer to this time next year. And we have no plans not to do that. Our levy only went out most recently, as in this week. We delayed it as long as we could because the same people that do our levy in the business rates team were doing the grants and the business rates. So we took a decision as a company. It was a priority that the businesses had that support rather than the team concentrating on our levy bills. What we get in, we don't know. We're in the same boat as every bid, really, and you just got to play what's in front of you to a certain extent.
Sorry, Russell. When's your reballot due? When are you due to go?
Summertime. This time next year.
Oh wow, yeah. So it's it's you starting the thought process of the reballot now as well, then.
Yeah. You know, once we've got through our post-recovery stage or strategy framework, etc., we already had discussions that we need to start doing the consultation straight away as part of that as well. Because obviously you've got to get in front of businesses when you can to get the information on it. There's two strings to it. Bids is always challenging at ballot anyway, and I've done 2 of them now, and you never know which way they're going to go. But I think you know you can only do what you can do. A bid is a business like everything else. And I think if you can get those messages here, we're here to help. But we are getting emails through, and I don't know if Jason or Paul or other bids have had these emails from the likes of View Cinemas, Next, all saying we're not going to pay the levy this year. I'm being absolutely upfront, and we're following the same business rates policy as our council, as then they're not chasing anything for the foreseeable future.
Just to jump in regarding Next, we spoke to Manchester a bit about it, and they'd had the letter, and once it came from the letter came from someone junior within I can't remember who represents Next, but as soon as they had the conversation, Next paid the bill. And we've had a similar conversation. We've had a similar conversation with River Island, and we've agreed that as soon as they start reopen, they will pay the bill.
Yeah, and I think it's that approach, Paul. You knocked the nail on the head. It's that you know when the problem is the bid levy. It says demand notice written on the top of it, and
doesn't help, does it?
No, it really doesn't. And we got to do that. I know, but so it's just getting people that confidence to say, look, you know, we're not going to be sending the bailiffs in, but we have a legal obligation. We have to raise it and we have to send it. So we've done a letter that went in with our levy to explain that as well.
Well, are you supposed to do that anyway? Give an update with that statement when it goes out as to what that's for and where you're up to?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a part of the bid regulations, isn't it?
Well,
when you send out that.
Yeah, the levy leaflet with only financial breakdown, what you spent the money on the year before, and your results. But we didn't. What happened is that we done all that pre this happening, so we had to put another letter in to say we've got to send the levy out to you and stuff like that. So it's additionality.
Yeah, it's just extra work, isn't it, on top of something. Can I just ask you, Russell? Obviously, we have the COVID tile and base camp, and a lot of the stuff that goes on there is going to be stuff that comes from Westminster, what we're working with, what other regulations are within England. How useful do you find that in Wales, or would you prefer to have a different tile for Wales, or do you find it useful to see what's happening here to basically steal it and do whatever you need to do with it?
I personally find it useful because it gives me the information. I can contact my contacts at Welsh Government to say, are Welsh Government going to do this? Such as the Safety Reopening Fund, I think Paul just mentioned. That's not even in Wales. So we've said, well, that's unfair as us as a country, as businesses. So I know the Welsh Government are looking at that to say, well, okay, well, what can they do to implement that and do it through local authority and bids?
Yeah,
so
I think it's about us as well, us as an organisation, the ATCM, thinking what is the best way to support our Welsh network, and would we be better off talking to them directly about the issues that you have that are affecting you, and not bringing in a lot of the other stuff, or is it best just keep it in one place?
For now, I keep it in one place because OJ is already, know the people we deal in Welsh Government as well. So for now, it's really useful because I can tap into that. For instance, England are 2 weeks ahead of Wales at the moment with their opening policies, then, should we say. So, we can learn from that. But I think after COVID, we'd be interested if we could set our own Welsh one up, because there's only us in Cardiff that are the hundreds of thousands, over £500,000 bids. So other ones are quite small and bespoke. So need different types of help at different times.
Yeah, I must admit, I just feel as if England at the moment are the guinea pigs to this, and Scotland and Wales are watching how disastrous we're going to go back into this opening. You're sort of watching what we're doing, and they'll probably learn quite a lot, I would think, from the way that it's all being handled.
Yeah, but I know there's a lot of frustrations, and I'm not sure if it's the same in England, that our government down here aren't making particularly good friends with the local authorities at the moment, because for whatever reason, Welsh Government decided not to do the over £500,000 free rates.
Yeah.
And that has gone down like a lead balloon with our bigger businesses, not just in retail, but in leisure parks and car dealerships and stuff.
Yes.
So I think they politically made a really bad decision with that.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to Jason. Hi, Jason, from Stockton bid. Where are we at the moment with Stockton then?
It's a bit of a strange one, really. Like Paul, I guess we have a relatively good relationship with our local council until we want something doing, and then they kind of close ranks a little bit themselves. So we've never had more communication with our levy payers as we have over the last 6 to 8 weeks.
That's good.
With them, so we've actually done quite well out of it. We did a lot of our communications when people were looking for their grants and the loans and things like that, and we gave them as much information as we possibly could and shared as much information as we could. And the amount of thanks that we got back from businesses was tremendous, really. I was delighted, and the information coming back from them was more than we've ever had. So that was, for us, it's been really good. We've tried to be working on somewhat of a recovery plan over the next for the next couple of weeks. We've put packs together probably similar to Russell in Swansea, in that we've got screens, we've got hand sanitizers that we've managed to have branded, but we have it made by one of the businesses in town, which is great. We've got tapes, we've had bespoke signs made, the posters that we've had made regarding social distancing. Some are a bit more quirky for the independent businesses that like that. And others we've used sort of a more standardized corporate look, if that's the right term, for those that want to keep it more corporate in their businesses. We, again, like the other guys, are ready to send out risk assessments for the businesses and to hold their hands through it to a certain extent. A lot of the information we've had back is that actually they've been quite worried that they don't know what they're doing when they're reopening. So again, the guidance that we've sent out to them has been invaluable to them, I think. Some of the things that we did send out to them that, again, they've been really good on. We helped a number of them, and we part funded a number of websites for them. So those businesses that wanted relatively small websites so they could keep a presence online, we part funded them for them. So we did a deal again with a marketing or website business that was local to us, and we half funded about 25. Didn't cost us an awful lot. I think we paid a couple of grand for it in total, but it just gives people that little presence. We sent out training links to people, so when they were furloughed or had some downtime, a lot of them have managed to upskill their staff, which has been brilliant. And we produced a social media hints and tips guides, which was very good. So those businesses that didn't have social media pages, and they're quite a surprising number, I'll be honest, it gave them the opportunity to sit down, create the pages, and give them tips on how to do it. And we did the same on short video making as well, so that they could add video when they've done it. And we've had a number of businesses that have really taken that on board and gone to the next level with it, and have really done something different than they would have done before with social media. So it's been a real win-win for them.
Yeah.
We've teamed up with Save the High Street and the Rome app that we were launching. We started looking at it prior to lockdown, and we went into it as we were sending out the information. So those businesses that had time on their hands while they've been furloughed or they've been closed have been able to manage to look at bills and utilities and all of those things. And actually, I've got an update on Monday, but I think we've saved literally tens of thousands of pounds for the businesses in that during that time, which has been good for us. We've got an event called Strike in Stockton that we were planning at the end of the year, which was to showcase the businesses. So I think we might put a little twist on that to see who's done well and give more kudos to those who've done really well when we're coming out the other side again. Just to give.
I like that. I like Strike in Stockton.
Yeah, and we've never done and we don't want it to be an awards program, because we don't want to say, well, you've done well, and you want to be able to give all of the businesses something. So there will be definitely businesses that actually have done really well, and we want to promote and say, look, these businesses have been awesome through this, and they've changed the way that they've been working. They might have started doing deliveries or other things, and we've helped that through the social media stage, but it's done really well. And then we've got a localization campaign, probably like many, many other towns, so that we want people to keep shopping local. We've seen actually that the bakers, the butchers that have all started doing deliveries have actually done really bloody well out of it. And I think lots of people that have been doing deliveries, we're just trying to make sure that those people then don't go back to Tesco's. And I think there will be lots of positive stories to come out of it. I think there really will. And I know it seems a little bit doom and gloom everywhere with the high streets and things, but I think the independents, I think there'll be some positive stories to come out of it as well. I was speaking to a number of businesses that have actually, during this time, through deliveries, have paid off credit card bills, have cleared debts, and have still got their grants in the bank.
Wow.
And I think that's really important, that some of them, there is some really good news stories out there, as well as there's obviously some difficult ones. I know you guys are talking about Next and View. We're lucky we don't have them. They've already gone, so they can't not pay us. So we're focusing on the independents where as we can. And a lot of them have been really, really grateful for everything that we've we've done for them. I think, Karen, you asked Paul what words describe it, and I think our town is going to look dull.
Dull, yeah.
I've tried and I put a document together of all of the green and the flowers and all of the different types of social distancing measures that you can put in place, and all I've done is produce those little white and blue stickers to stick on the floor, and it's like, we want something uplifting now.
Well, there's been all sorts of suggestions. I was looking at some stuff today, strangely enough. I know that City Dressing have done quite a lot of floor stickers, and he was doing different coloured flowers to stand on with messages on. And then there was one I saw today on Facebook, and I desperately tried to screen grab it so I could share it with people. And it was going into, I can't remember whether it was an old bar that they're doing like takeaway food or something now, is something different. And it was literally take a step to the left, then take one to the right and do a pelvic thrust. And each one was like the lines of a song. And I thought, that is just brilliant. Just pick a great quirky rhyme or a song or something that relates to your location and put it on the floor, and people get it. You know, there's people that are doing the queuing stuff very badly. Personally speaking, I'll hold Barclays up there. They're absolutely shocking. They didn't care. In Thornaby Town Centre, they didn't care where the queue was. So long as they had it inside their door and it was fine, they weren't bothered about the outside bit. They could have snaked their queue in front of Ladbrokes and William Hill, which was currently closed, and kept it neat. They could have actually put it around the side of their building because there was a lot of space at the side. Instead, they just let customers queue right across the precinct, blocking where everybody was going, so everybody was too close to each other. And I thought, there's that sort of management. And then the Iceland food store, right, they put up a proper barrier. They put dots on the floor, and they put information out about what was happening in the store when you got in and why you were queuing outside. And I thought, it's exactly the same product, how people tackle it in different ways. And I think queuing, especially for the smaller ones, for you, Jason, the queuing bit is going to be really important, because you could end up with a lot of queues all mingling into each other when you've got narrow pavements.
I agree. I mean, we're lucky in Stockton. Our high street's quite wide. However,
yeah,
where the actual shops are, people are still going to walk. So we opened our market yesterday, not with a lot of retailers on it, and it was done okay, to be honest. But what I would have hoped for, and what I've asked them to do, is actually plan out the high street and plan where the queues are going to go for when people do start to reopen. And I was really disappointed that they hadn't even taken that on board. Like the banks have got the biggest queues for us in Stockton at the moment.
I don't know why. Why have we got a lot of queues in banks?
Never seen that many people in a bank. I've never seen got millions of people that want to actually do it. So we've got a Yorkshire Bank on one corner, a Barclays on the other, and both queue the same way. So we've spoken to them to try and go down Finkel Street on either side, which allows more market space and more people to walk. But again, that's us trying to lead the council through that, and that's really, I'm not sure we should be leading them, but we are having to try and do that. I think one of the other things that we are trying to do is the social that we will be putting out there is that actually all of the businesses are doing this to protect themselves and customers.
Absolutely.
What we'd really like is for customers to respect it when they go in and stick to those social distancing measures. So one of the messages we are putting out is, look what they're all doing for you. Try and stick to it so it makes it easier for everybody, and then we don't have the confrontations that might take place. So we're going to put that message back onto the consumer rather than just totally onto the business, to be fair.
Yeah, I think as well. I think we've seen in the press that the North East, Middlesbrough, especially probably Stockton as well, have been some of the hardest hit areas. You know, they've had higher infection rates. I don't know how skewed that figure is, because we've got the Regional Trauma Centre as our main hospital, the James Cook University Hospital, which can take you a half an hour to walk from one end of it to the other end. It's so flaming big. It's like a city on its own. So I don't know whether that's skewing the figures with the amount of admissions that have been going into there as well. But if we don't get this right, we're going to have higher infection rates again.
I think it's really important that we do get it right. And one of the things is our council have been really insular. We're only going to get one chance at getting this right and getting people back. And if they nails it up without taking consultation from us, businesses, and other partnerships in the town, that's when we'll struggle. So my initial thing was we do have a good relationship with the council, but at the moment we're starting to see that when it suits them. And I think that's the door that we've got to knock down over the next week or so. And I think that's really, really important. That and I think as bids that actually we're there to work alongside councils, but I think it's important that we challenge them where we need to as well, and is what we're starting to do at the minute.
Well, a proper partnership is one where you can challenge.
Of course, yeah.
If you've got a different views, you should have different views. If everybody just sat around the table and agreed with everything that you said, I don't think that would be a really healthy relationship, to be honest, because you should be balancing those views and challenges. It could well be, Jason, that the local authority simply don't know what to do. They need leading themselves. We can't assume that they are the experts in this, because they're learning and fumbling their way through it with bureaucracy attached.
I know, and that's not a problem, because we've seen that much information come out through yourselves and the British bids, which has been amazing. And we've seen what other towns are doing, so we've been feeding information into them. And the problem with some local authorities is they do think they know best, when actually they're quite blinkered in their approach. Or certainly that's what we've seen. And the other problem is that in Stockton, we've got 5 boroughs. So we've got Stockton, we've got Thornaby, we've got Billingham, we've got Yarm. And what they sometimes say to us is, actually, you can't do that in Stockton Town Centre where our bid is, because it has to be the same across all the boroughs.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
That's my. If they want to bid and they want to do something in there, fine, go ahead and we'll produce that and we'll help you do that. But no, it doesn't, because it's something that we want. We wanted to put hand sanitizers on all of the bus stops and the car parking ticketing stations, so that when people were coming,
great idea. Yeah, great idea.
And when they were leaving town and getting back onto the buses, they were safe when they were going out. And we've been given a no, because actually, well, they'd have to do it across all the borough. No, they don't, and I don't. I'm paying for it. It's my logo. I want to do it, but it's their bus stops. No one.
Yeah.
So,
does anybody else? Do you have that issue, Paul, with the council?
I'd say we were helping them. I produced a sort of a recovery report for them, because I didn't think they were thinking about what to do with the public realm. And this was a couple of weeks ago, and they almost, the council admitted, no, we weren't really. And it was just using examples that I'd seen on Basecamp and others. Said, look, we need to start thinking about the town centre. What do we do and what do we change and all that kind of thing. And I think they've been thankful for the advice, and it's sort of helped to focus them and for them to realise that, we only get one. When we reopen and people come back, if they see it as a mess, if they see it as difficult to sort of nip into the bank and then to Maxwell, I said, well, they won't come back. Yeah. So we've got to get it right. So I'm not singing my own praises at all, but I think we've been very, very useful in leading the discussions. And I, like I said, I've said to them, I don't care who takes the glory, or as long as the message gets out there that it's safe to come back and it's welcoming. And so, yeah, we're doing all right. I mean, incidentally, I spoke to the banks. I mean, like I said, they have enormous queues, and I've asked them, does your risk assessment cover queues outside? And they've all said no.
Well, it's not necessarily just about the risk assessment, but does your conscience actually feel as if you have any responsibility for the customers that are coming in your bank? No. Because and it's quite frightening, because there are a lot of people. I mean, I counted like 25 people the other day queuing to get into the bank. And I thought, God, I haven't been in the bank for years. I have to still go to the bank. And I suppose, it's the sort of thing that we probably should be taken to task somewhere, because they are a high street retailer. They are some of the businesses in our bank. And it's some of the reasons why our residents and population actually do go into down the high street, our centres. But we need to do it safely. I couldn't believe it. I was absolutely amazed by that, the sort of response. So perhaps that's something we need to tackle, on a national thing, maybe through, we've got liaison with the Bank of England and stuff like that. We maybe need to take that little bit back, because it is a bit ridiculous. The other thing as well is when you talk about small businesses, Jason.
Yeah.
How have you had any of them that have started to take contactless payments where they maybe were a little bit reluctant before?
Yeah, and the markets, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, when we could see this come, when we went into lockdown, I worked with Richie Bedard, who's our market manager, and said to him, then look, you're going to have to start pushing contactless, and a number of them have. And when we've worked with Andrew Bartlett, Save the High Street, then those guys are really good. We've put the market traders onto those as well, so that they can work contactless, and that's not just the markets, but other independents as well that have started taking card payments, because we're a relatively small town and a lot were cash only businesses, but need must. But stress again, there are businesses that have done really, really well out of this.
Yeah.
And I think it is a really good opportunity to get people to the high streets rather than the supermarkets. I really do. I think there is some real positive messages. I know it's lots doom and gloom, but I think we do have to push the really good messages as well and put a real confidence spin on it.
Yeah. The other question I would like to ask you all as well is about contactless payments in car parks and car park machines. Has that changed from your local authority standpoint, or are they still cash only, or were you already advanced into that anyway?
They've already done it down here.
Have they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ours are sort of half and half, but at the minute they're all free anyway, so it's
same deal.
Yeah, same as Jason, sort of half and half. I think some are contactless, but you still have to press what in the shopping centre. There's a few buttons you need to press. And of course, then that's an investment for the shopping centres to do at a time when they're cutting costs. So what do you do? Do you clean it? Do you have someone there cleaning it every time someone's used it? I mean, it's a big burden for a shopping centre. But
you have this is the new thing that you need to take out with you. It's your plastic gloves, right? So you have your plastic gloves, and it used to be lipstick and a comb and stuff. Now you have to take these things out. I'm absolutely terrified about when was the last time you ever saw anybody cleaning the buttons of the car park machine? I've never seen that. Never seen that happen.
And it's the same with the cash points as well, though, Karen.
Yeah.
And they're no different to what we should have a little fingerprint ones that we just put on one finger that you can press just one button with.
When this all started off, my husband laughed at me. When it all started, I did a little piece of cling film that I put over the keypad in Aldi when I put my PIN number in, because I just didn't want to touch the PIN pad. And I thought, now I wear these when I go shopping, so it's okay now. Then I throw them in the bin.
I think it's interesting. I think that's where technology is going to come in more so. We're working with a fintech company down here that for hospitality businesses, people come, they do something with a tag on the table. That goes through to a menu, they order it, and it's delivered to your table. You don't go to the bar.
Yeah.
And also NCP, we're working with NCP on technology prepaid parking. So you didn't even have to touch anything because they have difficulties with the social distancing only by the pay machines.
Yes.
So technology is going to be there.
Weatherspoons do the app, don't they? And when they go, I hate it because I quite like going to the bar and speaking to people.
Yeah.
And I've got, we'll do it by the app. They're ahead of the game, I guess, in that respect, aren't they?
Yeah, you'll be known as a super spreader if you start going to the bar and talking to people.
No good. I'll have to shout.
Not good at all, is it? It's not good at all. And I thought obviously bars, pubs and clubs are our nighttime economy. That's a little bit further down. We're not quite ready for that sort of socialising bit yet. In a lot of cases, there'll be a lot of nervousness, I think, around that as well. And the other thing as well I was thinking about the other day was things like, the public toilets. If you get massive people coming to your town centre, public toilets, things like that become even more important. I mean, they were important before, but you probably had a wider selection of where we are now with them and how can you socially distance in a public toilet? It's like, it's so difficult.
So when the market reopened, we have you'll know Stockton, Karen, where the shambles are. That's our public toilets that we use for the markets. So we were in there the other day trying to work out what the social distancing was, which cubicles to shut off. can we use cubicles and urinals? Do we just close off the urinal? So it's a whole thing.
Yeah, I think the funny story, I'm going to end on this one now, but the funny story I'll leave you with is I was queuing to go to my local co-op. So there's a little co-op down the road and I was popping in for something. And they've quite cleverly put some posters 2 meters apart and that's where you stand. So it's a 1 in, 1 out policy. So one person comes out, the other person goes in. Right? So I joined the queue and I waited and I waited and I waited. And in the end, I said, nobody's come out. And somebody said, no, they're taking the time, aren't they? And in actual fact, there was nobody in there to come out. So there's a queue outside, nobody managing it. We're all stood in the sunshine. So I thought they need to sort of manage the queue. And then I sort of dared somebody, I dare you to go in. And he said, well, I'm not. So I ran in.
Just forward a little bit. When we get to autumn or even towards the winter, if people are still having to queue, think, what do we do then? We're lucky at the minute because actually the weather's been horrific. So for those, what do we do at that time when the winter comes? And what I'd actually quite like to know, and I'm starting to think about, is how, if you were in Disneyland and you're queuing, you'd have people entertaining you in the when you were queuing. So is there a way that we can actually put street entertainers on and entertain people while they are stood outside? I don't know if we can or not. That's something we have to get into. But people out all on the street, it might give us a chance to entertain them somewhat.
Well, quick. What I'm speaking of Aldi, I'm going to steal their. I don't know if you've seen one of their not marketing. They show the 4 clocks of when they're busy, not so busy, really busy, very quiet, and it's just a really useful sort of summary to think. Well, I won't go to Aldi at midday. I'll go at 8 o'clock at night when it's quiet. And I'm going to use that clock and use it as a marketing tool for the town centre to encourage people not to come at peak times. Come at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because that's where, if you can, because that's when town's fairly quiet. So it's just a way of influences people's behaviour. So, you know, not everyone needs to come at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Absolutely.
Come later on in the day if you can, because you won't have the queues won't be as bad.
Yeah, I will finish though by telling you I've been speaking to a new company who's joining the ATCM as a member, and what they've actually developed, and I think this is really clever and I can't wait to see it in action, is an app where you can, it's a bit like the deli ticket. You know, when you go to Sainsbury's and you grab a deli ticket, right? This is an app. So it gives you a number, then it gives you a countdown so you don't have to queue. So when you get to near to number 50, if you're number 50, it goes to 45, you think, right, I'll make my way back to Marks and Spencer's now. So when it gets to 50, I'll just go straight in and I don't need to queue. And it cuts down on all of that queuing, which I think will work very well in the winter months, because if you want to go and sit back in your car, you can, or you want to go into the shopping centre or somewhere else out of the rain or the cold, you can, and make your way back. When your number comes up, so that they do it like a deli ticket system. Obviously, there's people there that don't have smartphones that won't be able to do that, so they'll still have an element of queuing for those people as well. But it helps people, like you said there, Paul, spread out the day and think, right, okay, I'm actually number 260. That's my ticket. I'm already up to number 74. Right, okay, I either come back, cancel it, rearrange it, or do something else. So it's all actually done through a smart technology, which I think is really, really clever. And before this, it wouldn't have worked. Now, I think it's something that might be needed. It's something that's quite so look out for some information for that, because that'll be coming out through the ATCM. There's somebody that you might want to talk to about that as well. So I think that's quite an exciting development. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for that, guys. That was, I hope you got something out of that. I hope you enjoyed it.
Really enjoyed. Nice to meet you guys.
Likewise.
Russell, if you don't mind, with you going into the ballot roughly the same time as we are next year, and having been through it, I might drop you an email to pick your brains if that's okay.
Yeah, no problem. That's fine.
Yeah, this will be your first reballot, isn't it? This one, Jason. Yeah, for Stockton. Yeah. Well, stay safe, everybody. No Lovely talking to you. You know where we are, where if you need us, and keep posting on Basecamp. Keep looking there. That's where we're putting stuff. Thanks very much.
Thanks,
Cheers.
guys.
Bye now.
You.
Bye.
Bye bye.